Hey, greetings. My name's Ken Freestone, and thanks for visiting my compost pile. I gave a class the other day, and there seemed to be a little confusion about my saying I'm turning the pile and I'm flipping my bin over. I didn't have one of my bins with me for the demonstration, so I had PowerPoint, I was showing some pictures of it, and there was just a long discussion that people just didn't seem to understand it. So I thought, let me give just a quick demonstration, just show you some of the tools I've got. Nothing too elaborate, and maybe we can do something more elaborate later, but let me just show you a little bit about what's going on. So this is my basic bin right here. It's about a 3-foot cube approximately. You can see a couple of my main tools are just going to be a couple of spades and shovels. Let me show you a couple of the parts of this. It's got a lid so that keeps it dry most of the time. It's got some openings in it so it allows some moisture in there, but it has a lid on it so it keeps it heating up. It keeps any critters out of there. And also, if I do dump something in there and I don't dig a little hole in there to mix it up a little bit, it doesn't smell at all. And so it's just this is just a real basic system. But it's also the real key feature with this is that the box is hinged, so you don't have to, when you're moving the pile over, and I'll show you that you actually don't have to lift the box. The box is hinged, so it's much lighter to use and much easier. That way I found just about anybody can use it. I've even had second graders use it and just flip the bin over, and I'll show you how to do that. So here's the, let me put the tools aside. So here's the lid. It's kind of my day-to-day stuff. You can just put your materials in there, you can dig a little bit, and it just holds the lid up so I don't have to hold on to it. Now I'm going to get ready to turn the pile, so I'm going to actually move the pile from over here over to the other side, and I'll rotate the camera just a little bit. But let me show you, so first thing we have to do is when we're ready to turn the pile, let me take the lid off. So the lid is pretty lightweight. It's actually made of cedar, so it's not too heavy, and most of my bins are made of cedar, so it makes it much easier for people to use it, and it's much lighter weight. So here's the key feature to this. We'll turn the camera just a little bit. Is that this box is hinged on the side here. So these are actually two separate pieces. You can see I'm just moving this over pretty easily, and this is going to flip over. And if you notice, it's kind of sitting up a little bit because it's got a lot of material in there that's holding it in place. But as I move some of that material over to the other side, then that box will just lay flat. But right now it's got some dirt and some soil and some material that's holding it in place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take about the top 6 or 8 inches off this pile, which is the freshest material. That's the latest food waste and some yard scraps and some sawdust and things that I put in there, some grass clippings, and I'm going to move that over and just put it in this other pile on the other side here, because that's going to be the base of the new pile, because it hasn't broken down yet. It needs a lot of microorganisms and a lot of extra work by the worms and the bugs. So I'll move that over to this side, and then when I get down a little further, I'll show you what I do. Let me move a little bit over there just so you can see what I'm talking about. And then I'll probably stop the camera, I'll come back, and I'll show you what happens when after I move that pile about 6 or 8 inches down, move that over, I'll show you what happens. So here's me just gonna move stuff over, and there's nothing special about this part. And just so you can get a little idea, I've got some clippings from some bushes, I've got some leaves in there, there's coffee filter hanging down there from a local coffee shop, some eggshells. Anyway, this is all stuff that hasn't broken down, so it's going to be the base. It's the base of the other side here. I'm just going to move it over. And as you can see, as I'm loosening up some of the material that's holding that other side in place, it's starting to tip down a little bit. Okay, so that should be enough to start moving, to tip the bin up just a little bit. I loosened up some of the material. There you go. You can see the box is laying flat now. Now what I'm going to start doing is I still have a little more material to move over. Again, that little top layer of stuff. All right, so there's I've started that pile. Here's what I can do. There's a couple things I can do here. Is spread that base around just a little bit, flatten it out, just level it out just a little bit. I'm going to start sifting some of the material, and let me show you a little bit about that sifting. So I've got most of the stuff that hasn't broken down yet on top, and then we're going to start sifting. So I'll show you what I do. Got this great sifting tool. I've got a milk crate. It's got some small holes in it, so it's really nice. So what's going to happen is the good stuff that's broken down is going to fall through here, and then the stuff that hasn't broken down will stay in here, and I'll dump it in this other side that I just moved over here. So let me show you. And I'm only doing a few scoops because if I get much bigger than this, it gets kind of heavy. So now let me show you what I'm going to do for sifting it. Turn the camera over here. See, there's a big bin right there. I keep this bin nearby. Now mine's pretty big, but I'm 6 foot tall, so I'm okay to reach over it. But if you need something a little smaller, and there's good compost that's already in here. Can't really see too much, but it's really dark and black, so that's good stuff. So I'm going to sift it. That's starting the sifting process. So all the good stuff, and I'll show you. See, you get good soil is falling out of it. And then the stuff that hasn't broken down yet, going back in here. So I got a nice little starter. You do have a little soil in there. We've had a lot of rain, so it's a little bit wet. And I did turn it just about 3 weeks ago, maybe a little less than that. So this just shows you how to move the pile over. Let me pause the camera. I'll start it up again in a few minutes when I flip the lid back or flip the other side back over. But let me do some sifting. Let me do some, just some processing of the compost. So I'll be back soon.